Did you know that America had a 25-hour day on November 7 this year? Yes, you heard that right. Americans adjusted their clocks and added an extra hour to their day. In fact, not just the USA. Almost 70 countries around the world adjust their clocks 1 hour before or ahead of the standard time at least once every year. Why, you ask? Well, the main purpose behind this is to make better use of the daylight, hence termed as daylight saving time. The idea behind this practice is to set clocks forward by 1 hour in the summers and back by 1 hour in winters to return to standard time on a particular date. As a result, there is one 23-hour day in summers and one 25-hour day in winters theoretically. Did you know that the 6th largest country, Australia, has 3 time zones? The largest country, Russia, has 11. France, which is not even amongst the 10 largest countries, has, wait for it, 12. Yes, 12. But in India, the case is a little different. India is the 7th largest country in the world. But despite being this huge in area, all parts of India follow only one time zone. Yes, one time zone, even though it spans across 2 geographical time zones. While several countries in the world observe daylight saving time or different time zones or both, here's taking a look at why India needs multiple time zones too. Before we discuss why India needs multiple time zones, let's understand India's current time zone. India currently follows one time zone known as the Indian Standard Time. Let's understand what this means. Now, not every place on Earth receives the same amount of sunlight at the same time, which is why Earth is divided into 24 different time zones. As per convention, each time zone is spaced by 15 degrees longitude. Longitudes help decide the time of a place. These longitudes divide countries around the globe into 24 time zones to enable coordination for railway and flight services. Each of these longitudes are at an hour's difference from the other. So let's say it's 5 p.m. on this longitude, it would be 4 p.m., 15 degrees west on the longitude towards its left. Now that we have established what time zones are and how they are different, let's discuss how having a single time zone poses challenges for India, or in other words, why India may need more than one time zone. To put things in context, all the time zones are measured from one starting line. This line is known as prime meridian. Time at the prime meridian is known as Coordinated Universal Time or UTC, which was formerly known as Greenwich Mean Time or GMT. The imaginary line denoting the Indian Standard Time is 82.5 degree longitude east, which passes through Mirzapur near Allahabad, now known as Prayagraj in Uttar Pradesh. So the Indian Standard Time is calculated at 5.5 hours ahead of the UTC for the entire nation. However, this poses a problem, particularly because of the sunrise and the sunset times at the extreme land ends of the country. Let's understand this. In Arunachal Pradesh, which is at the extreme eastern end of India, the sun rises and sets earlier than its western counterpart Gujarat. Geographically, India is almost 3,000 kilometers wide and there is a 30-degree longitudinal difference between Arunachal Pradesh in the east and Gujarat in the west of India, which means a time difference of 2 hours between the two states. But the Indian Standard Time does not take this into consideration. Dong in Arunachal Pradesh is considered to experience the first sunrise in India. In fact, it is known as India's land of rising sun. During summers, tourists flock to watch the first rays of the morning sun at 3 a.m. followed by the rest of the country. In the northeast, the sun rises at 4 in the morning in summers. By the time government offices or educational institutes open, many daylight hours are already lost. In fact, people from the northeast have long complained about the effect of a single time zone on their lives and their economies. In summers, the sun rises at 8 a.m. in Gujarat, where schools start functioning at 8:30 a.m. by the current Indian Standard Time. At the same time, the sun is out until 8 p.m. Yet schools and offices close by 5 p.m. and 6 p.m. Northeast loses important daylight, which can be used productively as the sun rises as early as 4 a.m. in summer and people in the west lose out on sleeping hours because of a late sunset. People's productivity and efficiency follows a biological clock that is synchronized with the daily light-dark cycles, with daylight hours best suited for working and the night for resting. Then there is also the electricity wastage. Because we follow the same time zone, there is wastage of natural daylight. In winter, this problem is even bigger. In addition, working in the dark requires artificial lighting, increasing energy consumption. Researchers estimate an annual energy savings of 20 million kilowatts if 2 time zones are implemented. Now that we have addressed the problems that a single time zone brings with it, the next logical question is, what can be done to combat this? CSIR NPL is an institute that maintains the Indian Standard Time, and this institute has published a research article describing the necessity of 2 time zones. It has proposed a new time zone with an hour ahead of the existing time zone. It proposes to call the 2 time zone IST1, which is UTC plus 530 hours, and IST2, which is UTC plus 630 hours. The proposed line of demarcation is at 89 degrees east, the narrow border between Assam and West Bengal. The research suggests that states west of the line would follow IST1 and the states east of the line would follow IST2. The latter include Assam, Meghalaya, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram, Tripura and Andaman and Nicobar Islands. To make the idea possible, CSIR NPL would need a second laboratory in the new time zone. CSIR NPL already has a technical expertise to duplicate its existing facility, but the move would require legislative sanction. There, however, is a different concept of time that already exists in Assam. Only in Assam, the concept of Bagan time exists. Bagan time is 1 hour ahead of IST. Bagan time is a daylight schedule that British tea planters introduced more than 150 years ago. Being far more in the east as compared to the heart of the country and deep in the heart of mountains, the sun actually rises much earlier in Assam than in several other parts of the country. The British planters were the first to realize the discrepancy in the timing and created a whole new time zone for tea gardens to adhere to. A study conducted by Professors D.P. Sengupta and Dilip Ahuja of the National Institute of Advanced Studies have suggested that advancing the IST by just half an hour would result in saving 2.7 billion units of electricity every year. In 2006, India's Federal Planning Commission recommended the division of the country into 2 time zones. However, no action was taken. Then in January 2014, the then Assam Chief Minister Tarun Gogoi independently decided that Assam would follow Chai Bagan time or tea garden time and ordered the state to set its clock an hour ahead of the rest of the country. This, however, had no lasting results. India's central government is keen to retain one time zone for safety issues and to prevent confusion, specifically in regards to railway operations and flights. Furthermore, there are concerns that introducing a new time zone to the northeast will force political and social divisions between the northeast and the rest of the country. In spite of the various drawbacks, it remains to be seen whether India ever gets multiple different time zones or not.